Good morning and welcome to ACM CCS 2017 in Dallas, Texas. I am Bhavani Thuraisingam. I'm the general chair for the conference, and I would like to say a few words about the conference and then hand it over to the program chairs. Okay, first, the most important, the conference proceedings. We've been receiving several messages. The good news, it's already on the ACM Digital Library, and the link is already there in the ACM SIGSAC 2017 website. And so if you go and click proceedings, then you will have access to all of the presentations, all of the papers, the conference papers, the workshop papers, and so on. Okay. So, and there was another question this morning. The password for Wi-Fi, it's ACM CCS 2017 is the network ID, and the same thing password ACM CCS 2017. Okay, now that we have gotten that out of the way, next is to thank our conference sponsors. Uh, so here I don't want to take too much time, so it's also printed in the proceedings. We have conference sponsors, and we have also several workshop sponsors which I have not included in this list of sponsors. So every workshop has got their own sponsors, and we'd like to especially thank our platinum and gold sponsors, and also for those who supported our student travel. Okay, this is important. So we have something special, and that's meet the sponsors. So information tables are going to be in the grand hall, and there are industry roundtables during lunch, Tuesday and Wednesday. So that's going to be today and tomorrow. Look for signs on the tables, and you will have an opportunity to talk with the sponsors about career opportunities, and they also can explain to you about their organization and the work that they are doing. Okay, there's also a special opportunity, and that's the Nasher Sculpture Center. It's one of the finest collections of modern and contemporary sculpture in the world, and it's supposed to be in a setting of unparalleled beauty. Located in downtown Arts District, it's just a 10-minute walk from the hotel. We do have fortunately 250. We have some free passes, fortunately, but unfortunately, only 250 free passes. And so it's going to be on a first come basis. So all of the passes are with the registration folks at the registration desk. So if you are interested, you can talk to them and get the free passes. But again, please note it's the first 250. And it'll be available beginning at today's afternoon break until they are gone at CCS registration desk. Okay. So that's a really good opportunity. I also want to thank several people. Unfortunately, I haven't included everyone because, then I could go on and on. So I want to make sure the PC chairs have enough time to explain about the program. Several people made this conference possible. The SIGSAC chair, I should say chairs, because when we started this process, Trent Yeager was the chair of SIGSAC. And then now it's Ningwi Lee. So we thank them both. CCS Steering Committee and the chairs, Somesh Jha, and the conference committee. So many people made this possible. The PC chairs, the workshop chairs, tutorials, panels, sponsorships, finance chairs, registration, and so on. Okay, so there was also publicity chairs. I haven't included all of them. So I'd like to thank everyone. We had several meetings in the beginning, on Thursdays at 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. So everyone participated. We had at least once a month in the beginning, and so that to make sure that everything ran smoothly. But I'd like to give some special thanks to Ms. Rhonda Walls. She's our project coordinator of our Cybersecurity Research and Education Institute at the University of Texas at Dallas. Without her, this would not have been possible. She made sure that everything ran smoothly. to give you an example, we were expecting, based on past projections when the conference was held in the United States, we were expecting around 800 people to register, but as of last Monday, we had over 900, I believe around 920, and that was about 8 days ago. I don't know how many registrations we have now. It should be around 1,000. I don't want to say the word 1,000 because I don't have the exact number, but you can see we had to then make sure that there was additional food. At one time, I was telling them, let's cut back on all the food so they can, I was just joking, of course. So so you can see, and we whether they have all the bags and conference brochures, I don't know. They said that they were running out, so please bear with us. We'll try to do as much as we can. And Rhonda also had a local team, and that was Ms. Amanda Bonner and also Dr. Janelle Strach. I'd like to also thank our administration, my department head dean, and so on. They gave all the support. Whenever I asked for resources, they gave it to us. And another thing I wanted to also mention, first of all, thanks all of you for attending, of course, all the attendees and the presenters and so on. And two things I wanted to mention, special thanks. That's something dear to me. We had the first Cyber W, that is the Women in Cybersecurity Research workshop that was held yesterday. Professor Daphne Yao and Elisa Bertino, Elisa is not here, Daphne is here. They organized it. It was really a success. I believe about 70 people attended, and it was just so motivating for us to attend that, and hope we can have that workshop every year at CCS. And then another thanks, I just ran into him this morning, the founder of CCS, and Ravi Sandhu, if he's here, from University of Texas, San Antonio. That's Ravi. He started CCS in 1993, I'm sure before most of us were born, including myself. No, I'm just kidding. So we'd like to thank him, 1993. And without, their support, we wouldn't be having this conference. So I would like to now introduce you all to the program chairs, Professor David Evans from University of Virginia, Tal Malkin from Columbia, and Dongyan Zhu from Purdue University. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please don't, we can find one of us, and also the organization committee and the registration committee. So if you need anything, please let us know. Thank you very much.
So it's my privilege on behalf of the program co-chairs and the whole program committee to welcome everyone to the program for CCS. And over the next 3 days, you'll see the breadth and depth of computer security research. And I hope you'll agree with me that there's much cause for celebration of both the intellectual value and the real world impact of our research community. I'm going to highlight just a few things in the program. This evening, we'll have a reception and poster session. This is a great opportunity to see ongoing work and talk in depth with the researchers. Tomorrow, we'll have what will be a very engaging panel on the hazards of artificial intelligence, followed by a banquet. I know some of you are worried that there's an Oakland deadline tomorrow and might be thinking about skipping these to work on your Oakland submissions. I urge you not to do this. You'll have to wait a whole year for the next CCS banquet, but I have it on very good authority. There'll be another Oakland submission next month, so don't miss the banquet and award. The heart of the conference are the research paper sessions, and over the next 3 days, we'll have 52 research paper sessions spanning a wide range of topics in computer security and privacy research. And the main job of the program committee is to select the papers that will be presented in those sessions. So I'll talk briefly about how we did that next. This process started when the submission deadline closed back on May 19th, and we had 842 papers submitted. 6 of those were eliminated as invalid, and the remaining 836 were evaluated and reviewed by the program committee. In the first round, each paper was given 2 reviews assigned from PC members. And based on these reviews, the papers that seemed credible were assigned an additional review. At the end of the second round, the reviews were released to the authors. and the authors had an opportunity to submit a response to those reviews. And based on those responses, some of the papers that seemed unviable at first were now revived, and additional reviews were requested, and there was an online discussion period and very extensive discussion about the papers, leading to the consensus on the ones that were accepted and the 151 papers that you'll see presented over the next 3 days. The most common question we get as PC chairs is what someone should do to ensure their paper gets accepted. The good news, there's an easy answer to this. All you've got to do is make sure to have brilliant ideas, do some outstanding work, get some breakthrough results, write superbly, and follow the rules of the call for papers. Well, at least from the perspective of the PC chairs, and I know not all of the authors of rejected papers agree with us, the acceptance rate for papers that did this was 100%. But it is kind of hard to do that. So the real question most authors want answered is how to get your mediocre paper accepted. And fortunately, we've done some careful data analysis on the review process, so I can help answer that question. The first tip is how many papers you should submit. Most authors were involved in just one submission, but you can see there are quite a few authors that were involved in multiple submissions. And you might guess that submitting more is always better. And I'm sure next year's PC chairs will appreciate me telling you that's not the case. You can see the acceptance rate starts to drop really quickly for people that submit more than 4 papers. There is an exception to this. There's some remarkable people that can submit a ridiculously high number of papers, and they also have a remarkably high acceptance rate. So if you're going to write that many papers, you probably need some co-authors. So how many co-authors should you have? Most of the papers submitted have multiple co-authors, 3 being the most popular number. And there's some correlation of the acceptance rate with the number of co-authors. Of the single author papers, which we had 34, there was only 1 accepted. So congratulations to Luca. If you're working on a project that involves interacting with Russian cyber criminals, it might be hard to find co-authors. Otherwise, it's probably a good idea to do that. It helps if you can find co-authors in different countries. Once you get 3 or more countries represented, the acceptance rate goes up. If you can find 13 co-authors, you're in really good shape. There's a 100% acceptance rate for papers with 13 co-authors. There is a disadvantage to having so many co-authors. It means that when we put the paper on a slide, the font for the authors has to be so small people can't actually read your name. So now you found your co-authors, you got to figure out what to write about. And when authors submit a paper, they can select from a list of topics, and you can see the topics that were selected and the acceptance rate across those topics. The 2 most popular categories are applied cryptography and software security, both of which had above average acceptance rate. The highest acceptance rate was for metrics. And if you can see that, the lowest one, if you're wondering what the ... there is, it is including Internet of Things. So no single topic was good enough to get better than 33% acceptance, but the good news is you can select multiple topics. And there were some pairs of topics that had very high acceptance rates. So the final thing you need to think about if you want to increase your acceptance probability is where you should live. And this is a very international conference. We had submissions from 42 different countries and papers accepted from 26 different countries. The US still dominates the number of submissions, but is not the majority of papers do not have a US co-author. If you want to guarantee success, you should move to the Czech Republic. 100% acceptance rate, both thanks to 1 author. Unfortunately for our friends up north, Canada has the lowest acceptance rate. But there's a consolation prize. They get to host CCS 2018, which is in Toronto. It's a beautiful city. So I hope everyone will be back for that. If you've been paying attention, you know how to make sure your paper gets accepted. Just have brilliant ideas and a breakthrough result. If that's too hard, you can just find 13 co-authors in 4 different countries. Write about user studies on metrics for web security and privacy and move to the Czech Republic. So if we knew all that at the beginning of the process, it would have saved the program committee a lot of effort, but we didn't. And the program committee has to put in a tremendous amount of effort reviewing papers for a conference like this. And it was a real privilege to work with a committee of such dedicated and professional program committee members. I'd like to thank the PC members for all their hard work and ask that they would stand up now so you can recognize them as well. And finally, I want to thank all the authors who submitted papers. We know that it's a tremendous amount of effort to submit a paper to a conference like this, and a lot of work goes into each paper. And without those papers, we would not have a conference.